Level Up Latina partners with working women and mamas alike to guide them in achieving fulfilling career and life goals through financial empowerment, professional or leadership coaching, and personal wellness. Find the unique coaching you need to succeed.
You're listening to Vero, Ceci, and Irene, and we are Level Up Latina.
Welcome back to another episode of the Level Up Latina podcast. This is episode 333. It's our random show for the month of March 2026. We talk about anything and everything on this show, wherever the conversation takes us. You as a listener might be thinking, isn't that every show? Isn't that how they always talk? But no, this is the actual once a month random talk about nothing. Though sometimes we do have a little bit of order, and I was thinking about a story today, so we'll just start there. Yeah, we kind of go anywhere because we don't know what's going on in our lives and the stories that we want to tell and the things going on with us, but we'll just get through the next 30 minutes catching up with one another and hopefully catching up with all of you, our listeners, and maybe you learn something new or you glean some insight from this conversation, or you laugh with us or at us. It really doesn't matter. Before we jump in, I wanted to ask La Ceci y La Vero, ¿cómo están? How are you doing on this Monday?
Bien, aquí, emocionadas.
Súper happy de estar aquí.
Súper
con
happy.
Ustedes.
Okay, my first random question is going to be about memories. And I was thinking about this because the other day my husband and the kids were having a conversation about how there's no need to have like cursive taught. Like you don't use cursive as a skill you don't use. And they did do away with it. I think our kids used to learn it in the third grade. And so the kids were talking about how they haven't had to learn about it for several years in our district. And so everyone was kind of talking about the cursive writing, like why did it start? Why was it needed? Why did it go away? Why did we learn it after it went away? And my husband always knows these like random details about random things. The kids love talking to him. Noah even says it, like, Dad is so fun to talk to. He knows so many things. So they were talking about why it was invented, technically because you write faster when you write in cursive. And back in the day, there was no typing really. It was like letter writing, and you wanted a faster way to write. So Noah was saying, it's a conspiracy that they got rid of, cursive so that people can't read the Declaration of Independence. So they just went into this long conversation about cursive writing, and it triggered this memory for me. And I just thought like, wow, that brought back like so many interesting, like, wow, this triggered, I guess, a core memory for me. When I write, and I was writing right now, messing around. I usually doodle when we're on podcasts, so we had one earlier today. When I write, I don't really write in one or the other. My whole life, it's been, I write either, it's a regular I, my name's Irene, right? But it'll be a cursive R. And, my E's and my N's will always touch. Like, that's a cursive skill. And I've always, my whole life, my S will constantly be like a cursive S and not a regular S. I've written like that for 45 years. And I remember I had a vivid memory of how, well, let me take it back a step. We were doing thank you cards in a staff meeting recently. And we're all writing our thank you cards. And I was done quick. I was like, and all my team is like being all poetic and they're writing so neat. I don't write neat. And some of them even pulled up ChatGPT. And I just want to write from the heart. I'm going to write big bold letters like, got a bomb, thank you. So I wrote my letters how I wrote them. But when I turned them in, I said, a ver si les entienden. I said this in English. I hope you understand because of how I write. And then one of the staff members, who reminds me so much of my daughter, one of our mid-level younger staff members goes, yeah, sometimes I struggle to understand your writing. It's like half cursive, right? And half, when you write, it's like half cursive, half like print. And I go, yeah, you're right. And then I sit down and I was thinking, she's right. That's exactly how I write. And then it took me back to this core memory of like third or fourth grade where a teacher was so upset with me. She's like, write. Choose one. It's either print or cursive, but this is not how you write. And I always remember that moment with that teacher. You don't always remember moments with your teacher, and I forget it. It's not like I think about it. But I remember the regaño que me dio and feeling like self-conscious, feeling like, oh, I didn't know I was doing that wrong. Pero nunca se me quitó. Nunca se me quitó. I have always written.
Pa que se le quite esa maestra, ¿eh? No me mandas.
Now it doesn't even exist. Now there's no need. It just dawned on me. What about a kid that reads my writing in tears? It's like, what is she writing? Like, they don't even know it's half cursive. They don't even know it's half. Anyway, write something down,
Is this ancient testament?
Yeah, it's like,
this is the Old Testament of the Bible.
What are these letters? What is wrong with this lady? But I write that way, you guys. And I just had this moment of like, oh my God, that girl saying that took me back to that moment when I was young. It reminded me of how I've always just written like this. I combined the two in my brain when I learned cursive. Y así se me quedó. Y así escribo. Punto y coma, as my mom would say. And when I write cards at work and it's your birthday and I'm going to send you love, you're going to have to read my writing. And it's a mix of two, and that's what crazy. Anyway, one thing happened that reminded me of that thing as a kid and has always stayed with me and it never changed. What about y'all? What is a core memory that you all have? Like something that always sticks out in your brain. Again, this one doesn't even always stick out in my brain, but I don't remember a lot of regaños, and I remember that one, and I got triggered by it, and I was thinking about it, and I still do it. But do you have anything in your brain that you still do, or that it's like this memory, so you change what you do, whatever, wherever it takes you? But tell me about a memory as a kid that now brings you to this moment, and you're like, still real.
I have one. I have a core memory. But I want to say I write like that too, like half cursive. Y también, Vero, I was looking at your your notes that you sent something. I was like, you do too. Yeah.
Yo nunca.
Ahorita I wrote down the word expenses, and then the first S is regular, and then the last one is cursive. That's funny. I do the same thing, and I guess I do print, and if I'm taking my time to write, like if I'm journaling or whatever. But if I'm fast, es más los dos. A core memory that comes to mind was when I was in kindergarten. I didn't speak English. I was the oldest, and so I didn't learn English till kindergarten. But I remember, and I guess I didn't understand it at that point, but I remember my kindergarten teacher telling me something about my backpack, and I know that she was saying that it was too heavy, like como vacíala, empty it out. I guess I was carrying back and forth, and I know because these girls do that. I'm like, take out all your shit, just all the homework and the assignments and schoolwork that you do. So she said something about like I don't know if she yanked it from me, but I remember she went like this, and she was like a known as like mean and strict like kindergarten teacher. But I remember her saying like the something about the backpack, and she probably said, this backpack is too heavy, and I was just like, no le entendía.
Pinche
I
vieja
just
mad at
came here
her.
from Mexico.
Yes.
Poor Ceci.
So
I
me
feel bad for
acuerdo.
little Ceci. I feel bad for little
pobre
Ceci
de
to
mí,
tell that
que no
story.
No sabía inglés.
Así nos pasaba todas. I think I was trying to use Sesame Street. I'm like, Sesame Street was my English teacher before we got to school. Like,
Sesame Street
that's what my
was
mom would
dope.
put on the TV, But I think I have this childhood memory, like when my dad would barbecue pollos, like when he would do his carne asadas, okay? For me, I think I've shared this many times on the podcast. I wanted to be like a singer and a performer and an actress, right? So yo aprovechaba, y se acuerdan antes estaba Daniela Romo, and then ¿cómo se llamaba la que tenía el pelo bien wild? Así Adriana, ¿cómo?
Amanda Miguel.
Well, Amanda Miguel. And then she had the big hair, and all this stuff. And then, of course, Gloria Trevi came out. And we're still little, right? Gloria Trevi, we're like 10, 11 maybe when it came out. Oops, my dad would go grill. And every time he grilled, like pretty much on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, hace carne asado, un pollito asado. Like, cuando se paraba allí y levantaba la tapadera del asador y salía el smoke, and he would fan the thing. Pues yo me ponía enfrente de él y yo, ay, cantaba las canciones. Because I was like, it's the smoke, right? From sábado, ¿cómo se llama?
Siempre en domingo.
Siempre en domingo y sábado gigante, right? Siempre en
Yes.
domingo.
Yeah.
So I would stand in front of it and I would just pretend I'm like singing. I would swing my hair around. And now, like, I find myself doing that, like, anytime we're barbecuing or like I'm cooking, right? And I have the little fan on and then sale mucho vapor and I'm like, it's like a little dumb, I was like, pretend I'm a singer. But I have that little core memory and it makes me so like, reminds me like the beauty of just being a kid, like, and then how, I don't know, it just really takes me through a few different moments, but like, there'll be times when it's just like, oh shit, that was nice, and I pretend to sing still.
That reminded me.
That's a happy, joyful one.
Yeah, that reminds me. Sorry to interrupt, but that reminds me. I used to do something similar, but with the fan.
Oh,
your voice sounds kind of like different.
I love that too.
Yeah.
I love that with the voice distortion
Yes.
on the fan.
Por eso estoy pelona, you guys. I told you guys, right, that I got my hair. Aquí no tengo pelo, güey.
You did,
Aquí,
you
From
did.
singing in front of the fan.
Aquí.
Se te lo rompe
Yeah.
todo.
I was like, just yank that shit.
Before we move on from core memories, I'm going to go back to sad one and then we'll come back to joy somehow. But this was sad, or maybe we'll stay on this tangent. But my husband has like the saddest core memory of being a little kid. He grew up very poor, as we always say. His mom is actually here with us today. She's staying the next couple days. She's staying with us. So she would tell them when they were little not to waste anything. At lunchtime, have I already told you guys this story? Like, don't waste anything. Bring it home. Don't waste anything. So they gave him like a little pack of peanuts, or they gave him milk, right? And the mom especially liked them to bring the milk home. And I think God, that's such a core memory of childhood. I can taste it in my mouth, like the little carton of chocolate milk or regular milk. It just takes you back to being in those years of school when we were little, and the kids don't even have carton milk. I don't know if they do. So anyway, he has all these memories of, as soon as they'd finished for lunchtime or snack or whatever, and he must have been, young elementary school age, he'd pack everything away. His little carrots, que no se comía, or his milk. But often era leche que no se terminaba, because I guess they'd give them 2 leches. So we'd always bring one leche home. And then one day, a little boy just being mean. So he must have been maybe a little older. Maybe there's mean first graders, right? Like threw him a milk and said, here, so you can take it home to your mommy. And he remembers feeling so brokenhearted. What? Like, it's wrong that I take this food home to my mommy? And then it made him reflect, looking around at everybody like, nobody takes their food home. Nobody takes the leftovers home. But when you're poor and you need everything, you're going to collect those little cartons of milk. Like, you don't have to buy milk. And he remembers, like, for the first time kind of realizing, like, oh, I guess, like, I need to and they don't need to. And he remembers feeling so shamed, like, embarrassed. He's like, oh, no one's ever going to embarrass me like that again. Like, why would I let him embarrass me like that? But it's such a core memory. And he talks about it all the time with the kids and shares that memory of taking the milk home and a kid making him feel bad for taking the milk home and him being, like, a little bit embarrassed. And he was so unaware before that he happily would come home with his whatever it was and give it to his mom. He was like a good kid. Llegaba todo alegre with it. I got 2 milks today, right? Got gummy bears and some carrots, and he just stopped. He says he stopped bringing the milk home. Just such a sad core memory. Do you guys have another memory like that you always retell? It doesn't have to be sad. So I feel like now we're getting to the age, guys, where we tell the same damn stories. This podcast probably too. 333, you've heard all our stories. But with the kids, you tell them the same damn story over and over again, or have you said it too many times?
I just thought about the milk sparked another memory that I've told the kids before, especially when I get frustrated at them, especially one. I'm not going to say names, but ya se pueden imaginar. She gets so picky and she stops eating like stuff that she used to eat all the time. And I was like, when I was little and I wouldn't drink my milk, my dad got so mad at me that he like la tiró and like he threw it into like the cabinets, or he was like, I guess he was so frustrated with me. And then that I remember that it's part of it splashed back on me. And then maybe it's trauma también, pero it splashed back on me. And then I was so mad y me fui corriendo, al cuarto, and then I wouldn't come out. And I remember like the milk, like I could smell it in my hair. And I always tell the girls, like, no me hagan enojar porque les voy a tirar la leche. I've never done it. Pero les dije, okay, tu abuelo did this to me. I'm like, what? And then this and this, that. So I retell it like, cuando, parents get frustrated. Parents get frustrated because we are doing and we're working so hard and we want to give you guys the best and we want you to like eat well and be healthy. So I always retell that. So, la leche. Don't cry over spilled milk.
I have to tell this random story about how we tell our kids. I feel like whenever I talk about my dad, my poor kids are probably like, damn, you had it hard. But I don't mean to. And then I laugh, you guys. I laugh because trauma's funny. But yesterday I went somewhere with Diego and my daughter, and she's being raised so freaking different than I was raised. And my husband is just such a good dad, especially to my daughter. I'm glad I have a daughter. I think I'm going to get emotional. I'm glad I have a daughter because I get to see him parent a girl. But Sophie's like, have you guys ever seen that funny? Well, it's not funny, but like where people have to rank, because Diego started to talk about how like our son has a girlfriend in college, and he's like, all their stuff, because my son always posts her, and then I'll click his post, and his posts are her posts, like he's reposting his girlfriend. So I end up seeing her stuff. I'm like, oh, she looks just like her mom. How do you know that? Like, well, she posts her mom, and he sends me to her page, and then I go look at this picture, like she looks just like her mom. I'm like, oh my god, it says I love you there. He wrote I love you there. He loves her. So they're like, mom, you know too much. Mom, you've gone too far. So we start talking about, funny enough, like stalking your kids on social media. I promise I'm going somewhere with this. Then my daughter says, we're talking about social media, stalking your kids on social media, knowing too much about social media. And then Diego's like, that's got to be one of the most interesting relationships. Like when a woman who's had her kid all his years suddenly has a mother-in-law. I wonder how you're going to be with like your daughter-in-law. And he made this funny face, like, good luck to her. And I was like, I love my mother-in-law. We're talking about how good I get along with my mother-in-law on this drive. I'm like, I'm sure I wasn't always perfect, but like, dang, she's like an angel. I get along really well with her. I love how I get along with her. And then we were like, of course, comparing, looking at all the other in-laws. And I'm like, the one, like I've been the closest, I've been around the longest. We just get along well. She called me on Wednesday just because. She calls my kids just because I'm close to my mother-in-law. So we go into that whole story, right, about how mother-in-laws are special. But then Diego starts to tell Sophia, but a mother-in-law, she's important to the son until they're married. The wife should be number one, in my opinion. The wife should be number one. And then she goes, yeah, I get it. And da da da. He goes, and that's okay. And maybe it's not like that for every family, but it's like really the wife. And then, the wife should replace that mom relationship, that core relationship. And it's got to be hard for moms to see that. And I was saying, my mom's not the easiest. She's been tough with her daughter-in-laws. And then Sophie goes, have you guys seen that thing where you have to rank? Like you have to rank on TikTok. Is it your mom, your daughter, or your wife? How would you rank? Is it your mom, daughter, or wife? And Diego's like, well, of course, it's my wife, my daughter, then my mom, he says. And then I go, yeah, I would rank it that way. And then Sophie's like, I would too. So we just kind of agreed, like, that's how we would rank it. It's like it's your primero tu esposa, luego tu hija, luego tu mamá. Unfortunately, no one's going to make you pick. But if there was a gun to your head, if there was an issue, like that's kind of the order of loyalty and who comes first in your world, in your life. So we're driving and Sophie goes, what about dads? What about that? Like, because there's dad, there's brother, there's husband. And then they start to say theirs. And I'm like, oh my God, a bunch of people would come before my dad. The neighbor would probably come before my dad. And they start laughing. And I said, it's so funny. I was like, oh no, I put all my sons before my dad. I put like freaking neighbors. I probably put Cindy's husband. Cindy's my neighbor. And then my Sophie's little face, and Noah se ponía triste. Noah wasn't there. Sophie's little face, and I go, no, guys, I'm not hurt or anything. My dad was more like the homie. He'd come around, give us money, but he's not gonna come before a lot of people. I'm being serious. And I look at my husband and I go, like your dad is like my dad. Like your dad would for sure come before my dad. And I'm all like serious and excited, and I'm not hurt. I'm not damaged. And both of them look at me with like those saddest eyes, and I'm like, guys, I'm okay. Like really, like I'm good. Like the dad was the homie, but he's not. He was never really like my dad. He's like the guy that would just come visit. Then Diego said a story about another good friend of his that had the same kind of dad. Que tenía hijos por donde quiera. Never really raised his kids, but he would show up with money and give them money and gifts. And my dad was the same way. Talk about that sad memory, that one of your memories are almost like traumatic and funny, and for other people they're like, that is so sad. Because my daughter can't relate. She's trying to compute. She's trying to compute like her dad not being in her life, and when he comes around he gives you money and then he's gone forever. And Diego's like, I used to be jealous of those dads that would come around and give money. Now I think about it, no way, I want my dad que estaba aquí, que pobre como fuera, but he was here. But that's another core memory that I thought, very long story to just share. It's so funny how we turn out, how life ends up being, and how it's a beautiful, poetic justice, because I'm so grateful for the dad that my kids have, for the dad that he had. Like I feel so blessed. Like I'll take it in a heartbeat. Like if someone said, would you have to keep what you had as a kid? Yeah, because I wouldn't know this beautiful part of the other side, and I wouldn't have, maybe my life would have been different if I had a present dad. Maybe my husband would be not the best, or I don't know, but I love how it turned out for me. I'm okay. But when my kids hear the stories, they're like, your dad sounds terrible. And I don't necessarily connect it that way. So anyway,
my dad throwing the milk porque no me lo tomaba, pero tampoco me traumó, but it's like funny now. It's like, oh my God, cómo lo hizo enojar, and
qué desesperado.
It was a morning. It's because my dad used to work the night, like the graveyard shift, y luego en la mañana le tocaba la chinga. So I remember speaking to him or telling him like a couple years ago, papi, ¿te acuerdas cómo aventaste la leche?
Oh, ¿sí? ¿Qué dijo?
I told him. He said, pues sí, es que no te la tomabas or something like that. Yeah, I know.
I could never drink milk like that. My parents would have hated me too. Not that their parents hated you, Ceci. My parents would have hated me too if I did that. Just kidding.
What about you, Vera? What are those memories, those discipline memories, those core memories of like your upbringing that you're like, they make you think? Vera's like, my parents were perfect. I mean, they were there.
I got the lucky. I mean, I was a baby. But like, yo era bien tremenda. So I can count the times I got my ass whooped, right, on my hands. It wasn't, but they would whoop my ass when it was like for real. I know we're sharing along the lines of like maybe a sad memory. And it took me a little while to like really think about what this memory would be. Pero me acuerdo que cuando íbamos a misa los domingos, like, so Sunday Mass, we went to church every single Sunday with my parents since we were little. But I remember I have this memory of my mom at Mass, like looking beautiful as always, right? Siempre se arreglaba muy bien. And I have this memory of her when she would kneel to pray. Like she would pray that much, like those moments longer than my dad or my siblings, right? After we got communion. And I think this memory is actually before I even had my first communion. So it's like been a while back. So I would sit there and like watch my dad pray, and I'll watch my sister and my brother pray siempre después de la comunión. So after they got the Eucharist, they would go back, to pray at the pew we were sitting at. And, my siblings would finish first, or that's when Gabby would finish. And then my dad would be next, but my mom always just took a moment longer. And I would watch her pray and I would just observe her. And she was really like in this zone of her and God, like in this moment of like a beautiful, holy, meaningful, peaceful moment. And there were times that she would cry. And I always wondered like, well, why is my mom crying? Why is it? And as a kid, I didn't know. I was just like, wow, she must really feel that love from God, right? But I had no idea. And I would see her cry and I would just watch her cry. And then she would, clean her little cheeks and her eyes. And then she'd sit back down and kind of take a little deep breath. Y sentaba y alzaba the thing where you knee on. And now that I think back, and I reflect on that, I was like, there could have been so many reasons, right? Like for her to feel what she was feeling and to really cry in the moment. Like, I think there's parts that maybe she was like, the distance between her and her family, her parents, right? Back in Mexico, in the rancho, her being a wife and trying to, whatever her relationship was with my dad, her being a mom, like just how challenging motherhood is. Like now that I think about it, like motherhood is challenging, but for my mom, we had moved out of like where we lived close to all our family. We had moved from, El Sereno, Lincoln Heights area where our family was mostly at in East LA. And then we moved out to Watts and no one wanted to come visit us. After a while, people were just like, why'd you guys move over there? So I think it was like all of this in her prayers. I think she prayed for, the longing she had for her to be with her parents, the longing of her siblings, the longing of wanting to have family. I think that she loved being a mom and she prayed for her children. She lost her first child. So we would have been a family of, also, 6, but we ended up being a family of 5 because she lost her first baby. And I think all of that, she must have just been reliving every time. And sometimes it was probably just got to her a little more than others, right? But that's like a memory I think of often. On another note, a memory that I would share a lot with since I was a kid. There's a lot of them that actually I share a lot, but I think one of them, I remember a lot, like my cousin teaching me how to box and just boxing and like punching the punching bag and doing the la pera when you like I would box like that. I have this memory of like me trying to learn how to like not roller skate, but I roller skated and then I was trying to transition into rollerblades and that was the worst. But I think I have another childhood memory is just like the last trip we took as a family to Mexico. And on our way back, it was like the time that the last time I think I was in the car with my dad, my mom, my sister, my brother, and I, and it was just us. And we were on our way back from Sinaloa and we got into an accident on the way back. And we always remember how we were just fighting. We were fighting on the road. My brother was making me fight with Gabby and Gabby would fight me and then I would fight her and he would just like get a kick out of it. But I remember, I think that's like one of those memories that I don't think I share often, but I miss that. And I recently asked my siblings if we can do like a little, like immediate family, like our nuclear family little vacation to kind of make sure that we end any kind of vacations that we had as kids on a good note. Cause that time que veníamos de Mexico, we got into an accident and we almost, it could have been tragic and thankfully it wasn't. But I don't know. I think there's many, many little memories from my childhood that I do share, often. I think I share, playing with my brother, playing ball, like baseball with my brother. And, I think one really cool memory that I have that I play back pretty often is when we were little, we would play baseball in our driveway. And one time we only had one ball. So we're like, we cannot lose this ball. And Horacio was pitching the ball to me and I had hit it a couple times and all by our yard. And this one time he pitched the ball and I hit it so just perfectly, where the way I hit it with the bat and the swing, everything my form, it was just perfection. And then as I'm hitting the ball, there's this RV traveling down our street. So it's in front of our driveway as I hit the ball, and the way the RV had a little hole, a small ass hole in their window from the back window. on the side of the car, right at the side of the RV, there was like a window on the side, and the window on a corner had a little hole. And the ball, I hit it perfect timing as the RV passed by, and the ball went into the hole. And then Horacio and I just looked at each other. We're like, what the heck, man? And we're like, that was our last ball. No way. But first we're like, oh my God, no way. Did that just happen? And then we're like, oh shit, that was our last ball. So we chased the RV down to like the end of the block. So we live on one side of the block, one corner. We chased it down to like past the half block, like half of our block, almost the next corner. So that's a pretty cool memory, because I'm like, it reminds me of, you know, having that playtime with my brother. And I'm going to cry. Seeing my mom in prayer. And then just being a kid. So anyway, those are my memories, and those are the things I most often share. Like, just, they're pretty cool memories. And, you know, some of them are a little sad, some of them are joyful, but they are memories. And you know, and those are some of the top ones I have. I mean, there's many more, but we'll share that at another time.
Thank you, everyone listening to the podcast today. We really appreciate you. Keep tuning in. If there's anything that you want to share regarding this episode, feel free to contact us. You know where to find us. Go to leveluplatina.com. You can find us on the socials at Level Up Latina for Instagram. I mean, sometimes we post on the LinkedIn. Sometimes we post on the threads, but I think those are our more consistent places. Find us on Facebook and Instagram, because we're old yet young. Okay. Cuarentonas y buenonas por siempre. Find out about, you want to work with, with us, find out about our coaching, find out about our guilt-free squad, which is an amazing community of mujeres that come together. We have awesome calls once a month, and we discuss a variety of topics, all pertaining to the Latina experience, and sometimes just it's the women experience of like just being a mujer, right? So check it out. Find out what we're about. If you have any questions, hit us up. Our email is admin@leveluplatina.com. And we hope you continue to tune in. And then if you really liked our episode, give it a like, subscribe, review, share with a friend, download it. That really helps us out, because we do this for free. We do this for fun. We do this because we love to give back and share our stories. And sometimes our stories are like way too much, like TMI. If it's anyone, let it be us who shares that with you guys. Okay. Thank you again for tuning in.